Hi, this is Lynn and Linda Ridenhour sharing with you our story. A story regarding the God of the impossible. We're getting ready to travel this nation telling our story and wanting to give you a preview of what to expect. Our story really is a story of God doing the impossible. First, some background. Dad died in February. He'd been dead 4 months, and as a family, our world had come unhinged. I was now, by default, the man of the house. At 16, I had a mom and three sisters I felt responsible for. This family photo was one of the last taken before Dad passed. I was hired at our town newspaper primarily to do odd jobs during the summer, clean up, take the trash out, clean lead plates. These were the days of the linotype machine, a machine that set type for newspapers. Lead plates were used for advertisements. A thin layer of sheet metal, known as a positive, was glued to the lead plate, and then the metal ad was set. It was my job to peel off the metal ads from the plates once they had been used in order that the lead could be remelted and used again for a new ad the following week. In order to remove the thin metal, I soaked the lead plates in a pan of gasoline. One day, while sitting at a table soaking a stack of lead plates in 5 gallons of gasoline, I was lifting them up one by one into the pan. Lead is heavy, and my hands were dripping wet with gas. I accidentally dropped one of the plates on the edge of the pan and dumped 5 gallons of gasoline on my clothing. It didn't ignite, then it happened. I reached for my chair to sit back down when I heard a loud shh behind me and turned around to see a blue flame running swiftly across the floor, wiggling like a snake, heading straight towards me. The gas, unbeknownst to me, had seeped along the floor and reached a hot water heater about 10 feet away from me. When the gasoline on the floor came in contact with a pilot light, it ignited, and gas was everywhere. My clothes were soaked, dripping with gasoline. The blue flame hit my pants leg, and I instantly realized I gotta get out of these clothes. I had on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. I reached to pull off my t-shirt, and that was as far as I got. I went up like a torch and began running around the printing shop in a panic, screaming my lungs out, setting the place on fire. The fire had engulfed my face. I was running for the door, thinking, if I can get outside, I can outrun this. You completely lose it when you're swallowed up in flames. Fire consumes oxygen, so I wasn't getting any air. Finally, I collapsed about 10 feet from the door. Jack Finley, the foreman, beat the flames off my body. My clothes were almost entirely burned off, and I lay there on the floor with my eyes rolled back in my head. The ambulance came and rushed me to Phelps County Memorial Hospital, 29 miles away in Rolla, Missouri. When they wheeled me into the emergency room, 2 doctors were waiting. I lay there on the emergency table as they surrounded me discussing doctor talk, which I didn't understand. Suddenly, they walk out of the room, leaving me lying on the table suffering like you would not believe. I later found out, my mother told me, they were out in the hallway telling her, Mrs. Ridenhour, we're sorry. There's nothing we can do. Your son will probably be dead within the next hour or so. I was burned over 70% of my body with second and third degree burns. Here I am in surgery. A young doctor, 29 years old, just out of medical school, was on call and on his way. The two elderly doctors were already at the hospital. Soon, Dr. Young arrives and argues with the doctors outside the emergency room. We can't let that young man lay in there and die. And he began working with me. 7.5 hours later, I leave the emergency room wrapped like an Egyptian mummy, holes cut out where my eyes, nose, and mouth were. They wheel me up to room 217 and I pass out. I'm out for a month. Oh, they say I was in and out of it, but I don't remember. I do remember coming to, not knowing where I was or why I couldn't move. I had forgotten what happened. I could only move my eyeballs, couldn't even wiggle my fingers. I stretched my eyeballs toward the clock placed on top of the mantel at the foot of the bed. It said 3 a.m., and I knew I was dying. Don't ask me how I knew. I just knew. The angel of death had come in the room to get me, lying there, unable to move. I screamed, "Lord, I don't want to die." Of course, nothing came out. I was screaming on the inside. There I was, a teenager, alone in the darkness, all by myself, in a hospital room in Rolla, Missouri, dying. At that time, according to medical history, no one had ever survived with such severity of burns as mine. They wrote my case up in medical history. I obviously survived. Yes, there's more to the story. God is truly the God of the impossible, and you will love the ending to this story. Linda and I really do believe we have saved the best to last. I don't know about you, but I love a good story with a happy ending. Most people do. Here's one, my wife's remarkable story of beating Guillain-Barré syndrome, a disorder Linda and I had never heard of, an disorder quite debilitating. While in a nursing home, Linda's body ravaging with GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, she lay there in her bed completely paralyzed. The only thing she could move were her eyeballs. It's a story unlike any other I have ever heard, and I'll let her tell it. Take it away, sweetheart.
I agreed to call Lynn, have him come over to pick me up, and we went to an urgent care clinic. He wasn't feeling well either, so the doctor checked us both out. He told Lynn, "You'll be okay, but Linda needs to go to the hospital." "That's it," said Lynn. "I'm calling an ambulance. You're going to the hospital." The doctor medicated me with pain medicine, admitted me, and I fell asleep. When I woke up, someone asked me a confusing question. "Which nursing facility do you want to go to? The one up north or the one down south?" I decided on the one down south.
By this time I was paralyzed from my waist down and couldn't walk. I couldn't hold my own body weight with my legs, and a nurse insisted she lift me out of the bed. She tried and almost dropped me. So they put me on a stretcher and wheeled me down to an ambulance and drove me to the nursing home. One afternoon, confined to a bed in the nursing home, in walks Lynn and he says, "On the way driving here, the Lord spoke to me and said he was going to touch you when I pray for you." I believe Lynn hears the voice of the Lord, so I had no reason to doubt what he said was true. Lynn walked around to my bedside and began to pray when the Lord came and touched me on the shoulders, and I said he touched me. Lynn said, "I know. I can hardly stand. The room was vibrating with his presence." I said, "No, sweetheart. He really touched me." I was physically feeling the Lord's hands on my shoulders, and it was like my shoulders were being transfigured into some sort of quantum reality outside of time and space. That's as close as I can describe it. Never in my life had I experienced anything like this. Yes, after being paralyzed from the neck down, I was released from the nursing home. I went to work as a dental hygienist, my chosen profession, healed and healthy, working for years, caring for others. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for being you. Now, fast forward 7 years. One day our daughter calls and Lynn picks up the phone. "Hi, sweetheart." "Hi, Dad." And then Lori says, "Dad, would you and Mom considering moving near us? Jeff and I are considering starting a family." Lynn stops her and jokingly says, "Sweetheart, sounds like you're looking for some free babysitters." But a daughter can twist her dad's arm. So we moved to a small Missouri town in the middle of the state. Moved into a cozy small house that's been completely renovated inside and out, from top to bottom. And the good news is it's close to where Lori works at the Career Center for high school students. At lunchtime, Lori can get in her car and within 3 minutes be sitting at our kitchen table eating lunch with Mom and Dad. The week we were moving, I received news from our family doctor that I had pancreatic cancer and was given, to quote my doctor, as little as weeks, at the most 6 months to live. That was almost 2 years ago. I was given chemotherapy treatments for a while, but had a severe allergic reaction and had to discontinue the treatments. Yes, it's been almost 2 years. Lynn and I are enjoying life, and I have never felt better. Our story is a story about the God of the impossible.
Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening to our story. This is Lynn. Should you be interested in Linda and I coming your way and telling our story of the God of the impossible, email us at htrails2, that's HTRAILS 2 @gmail.com. And you can also follow us on social media. We love to tell our stories, what the Lord has done. And God bless you.